I'm glad we prepared ourselves well for this kind.
Oha.
Well done. Everything you need to know should be right here. I think the time has come for us to at last build ourselves a new home here. Before we can construct buildings at all, we have to assign the profession builder to several settlers so that they can take care of construction contracts. In general, it's your responsibility to decide which tasks are important and how our settlers are supposed to be distributed to attend to them. All right. Your builders will be ready as soon as construction contracts have been issued. It's time to start focusing on our key and most basic need, water. The first thing we ought to do is to establish a working water supply. So we'll move on to our first construction contract. Place and build a jetty by a lake in the vicinity of your town center.
Niye yer değiştiniz peki ya?
Very good. The jetty was completed as planned. Now we have a place where we can collect water. There are other possibilities to gather water too, But the jetty is the simplest and most cost-effective method. We can obtain and store water from different sources, like a jetty, rain collector, or well in the cistern. The cistern should always be in close proximity to a water source, so that our water carriers don't have to walk too far.
Şu nedir? Ha, plastik. Sefa hoş geldin. Ne haber? Nasılsın? Ha, reklam. İyi valla. Şöyle bir oyunum vardı. Bugün oynamam gereken. Ona bakıyorum bir yandan. Dedim zaten geç kaldık. Bugün bunu oynayayım. Ne kadar çok malzemesi varmış ya. Ne yapıyorsun? Nasıl geçti günü? Evet ya. Bakacağım ben de, download edeceğim. İndirdin mi sen? Ana daha yeni başladı gün orada değil mi? Saat kaç orada şimdi? Kaçta kalktın lan? ...15.43'te... Ben kalkmış, kahvaltı etmiş, ofise gitmiş, ofisten gelmiş, müşteriye gitmiş, müşteriden gelmiş. Throne and Liberty'ye bak, bu ne lan? Adam mı istiyor bu? Ha, cumartesi çalışıyorum ben. Throne and Liberty sardım mı? Bu arada ses nasıl? Oyunun sesiyle benim sesim. Free değil mi oğlum o? Aa, 3 yap diyor. 3 yaptı. Water Product'ı %100 yap. Tamam. Ha. Sen inceledin mi ne kısmının pay to win olduğunu? Bunu bayağı bu suyu alıyorlar, ona dolduruyorlar. BRB neydi lan? Birazdan klavye başına geleceğim mi demekte?
Great. We have now installed a working water supply, and water is now transported from the jetty to our cistern. Consider hiring more water carriers if you don't have enough settlers available. You can never have enough water in storage. Now we should focus on food production. It's important to ensure the supply right from the start. A gatherer's cabin, a hunting lodge, or a fishing hut can directly remedy the situation. I suggest starting with a fishing hut, since we're already... Good work. We've now taken care of our basic supply via food and water. Make sure that you have enough food and water on hand at all times, especially if you want to upgrade your settlement. A population that grows too fast can quickly unbalance your food and water supply, bringing major difficulties for you if you don't watch out. Crops are another excellent way of getting food because they constantly grow as long as the soil is moist enough. Each seed has different yields and growing times. This means that it could take some time until your field is ready to be harvested, in contrast to your fishing hut, where production can be right away.
Seeds from fields chosen.
Looks good. Remember that we need the widest variety of food sources to stay healthy. You should also plan ahead for drought periods that
End
might
zone
come when it's
burada
not
fark
going to
Emrah.
rain. Stock up on food and adapt your production to avoid bottlenecks. I'll show you a few more strategies later on. At the beginning, we don't have much scrap, wood, or other resources. We could build a production building, but to obtain resources as fast as possible, it's best that we start gathering right away. Assign a Gather All Resources task. All the settlers who haven't been assigned any profession by you are going to accept these kinds of tasks. In addition, settlers distribute resources.
Ha, pes, tamam. Gelir olur. Gelir, scrap. Burada kaç kişi var? 2. Burada kaç kişi var? Tamam, bu toplayabiliyoruz da. Bu neydi?
Since we now own plenty of resources, we can start to build a real production building. Then you don't have to always make efforts by hand that collecting is taking place. Production buildings are not only easier to manage, they are also distinctly more effective than simple tasks. Don't place production buildings too far away from your settlement. You'll be able to change their working area at any time later on. Right on. The best thing for us to do now is to build a forester's lodge to automate our supply of wood and make it more effective at the same.
Anladım. Tamam da benim setlerim artmıyor. Hoş geldin. Sen neyine, yani oyunu inceleme fırsatın oldu mu? Hangi kısmı pay to win? Yani ben birkaç şeyini inceledim. Yani çok güzel düşündükleri şeyler var ama ileride böyle büyük bir kaos yaratacağını düşünüyorum. Mesela normalde bizim oynadığımız diğer oyunlarda dungeonlar paralel evrenler gibi çalışıyordu. Ondan sonra mesela sallıyorum, ben bir dungeon'a girdim, sen bir dungeon'a girdin. İkimiz de aynı dungeon'dayız ama farklı evrenler gibi düşün. Birbirimizle karşılaşma imkanımız yok. Ama bunda tek bir dungeon var. Yani şöyle, hani dünya büyük, bir sürü dungeon var ama mesela sen bir dungeon'a girdin, ben de o dungeon'a girdim. Dungeon'ın içinde benimle karşılaşabiliyorsun. Dungeon'lar çok büyük. Ama bu mantıklı olmasına rağmen çoklu oyuncuda kaos yaratabilir gibi geliyor bana. Benim tek bilgim bu. İşte oynayanlar pay to win diyor da hani şey ne? Mesela Conqueror bile pay to skip. Para verip işlem süresini kısaltıyorsun falan falan. Bu kadar.
Good job. You might want to change this building's working area later on to tell your workers where they should get their wood from. And for your information, if you want, you can also tell your forester's lodge that they only ought to attend to reforesting an area in order to create a lush, green forest which generations to come can use.
Hayır, anladım.
Very good.
Ama neyi?
Now we ought to take care of collecting scrap. Scrap is one of the most valuable resources because the quantities present are limited, and we can recover other resources from scrap. Unlike the task we just had, the
Benim işçim kalmadı ki babuş. Yani sen oraya onu koy. Scrap Collector'a da bir ata falan. Bir tane getirdim kalıyor.
Great. You can change the working area for
You can change working process. We can recycle scrap into for additional. Tamam.
Our people want a place to sleep and live. Cabins fulfill their need for safety.
Space Marine 2 oynasana. Ya da Conan Exile. He. Anladım. Para vermeden artı basamazsın. 8 tane kabin mi build diyor. Lan ben fazla yaptığımda 3 tane koydum lan. Oradan hayvanatlar yürüyormuş. Valla bu oyun da güzele benziyor ya. Frostpunk 2'ye baktın mı Sefa? Sen Frostpunk'ı sevmiş miydin?
Besides cabins, you can also provide sturdy houses and shelters as housing. Sturdy houses withstand sandstorms better and have an increased storage capacity to boot. Children living in houses gradually fill up the house's stockpiles. Settlers do not reproduce in a shelter because they lack privacy.
Al bir tane Game Pass.
Let's return from our excursion into housing and refocus on scrap. With the help of a recycler or refinery, scrap can be sorted into 4 different resources. A recycler always takes scrap apart, one resource at a time, while a refinery automatically produces all 4 resources. To start off, you should build a recycler and produce cloth.
Şu ne? Metal. Game Pass orada kaç para Sefa? Evet, sonuncu adamımıza Recycler'a verdik.
You can instruct your recycler to produce a different resource at a time. It's important that you focus on the resources you really need, at least in the beginning. Cloth and metal look like good options if you want to equip us with protective clothing. Happy settlers.
terzi kurayım. Ne oluyor lan? Bu ne demek? Ha.
We categorize environmental radiation into 4 levels: no radiation, low level, medium level, and high level radiation. The radiation changes constantly and is influenced by weather and contaminated rain. Protective clothing helps to protect us against this kind of radiation, but it takes a while before it's produced. And production relies on a steady flow of incoming resources. Try to establish production chains at an early stage and start to stockpile goods so that some are always on hand. The tools we brought along from the end zone are slowly but surely running out. So now, let's focus on manufacturing new tools. The tools will help us to work effectively. We'll need metal for that, so we'll prepare for production by building another recycler, which we'll commission to recover metal from scrap. After that, we'll need a workshop to enable the manufacturing of brand new tools.
Neye oynuyor bayağı da? Frostpunk'ı mı? Ne ikisi lan bir? Yok. Bu ne? Ha 12 Children mı? Katona Liberty. Sen beğendin mi ki Katona Liberty'yi? Sucuğu mu bir düşüreyim? Aleykümselam, hoş geldin. Ne haber, nasılsın? Bu ne? Population growth. Growing population. Bir istiyorum, bir. Salak bir peyder soku. Deadlock'a bakmadım ya. Bu neydi? Bu scrapçıydı. Seni bir aşağı indiriyorum. Abi 22 oldu. Çok güzel. Sende bir çalışır. Sende bir çalışır. Sende bir çalışır. Sucuğumu 3 yapıyorum. Tekrardan. Adamlar arttığı için. Şunu da 3 yapıyorum. Hatta bunu 4 yapıyorum. Bu ok işareti ne? Production limit ulaşıldı diyor. Tamam. Ne demek yani bu? Üretim limitine ulaştın diyor. Sucu 4 var. Fisher 3 var. Farmer 1 var. Scrap Collector 1. Refiner. İki. Wheeler 3. Settler 5. Tamam, galiba problemi çözdüm. Ne istiyor? Bunda adam mı yok? Taylor'da. Olsun, Taylor'da adam. Workshop'ta adam var. Scrap pool. Metal pool. Ben metal pool istiyorum. Bir dakika.
With our lovely new tools, we are now prepared to work effectively. Should you ever run out of metal, keep in mind that you can also instruct your workshop to manufacture tools from scrap instead of metal. Though they won't be quite as effective, it's still better than being forced to work with bare hands.
Tamam.
Down in the end zone, we had sufficient time and resources to educate ourselves properly. But our children don't have this luxury. We ought to build a school and pass on what we've learned. As a result, they will be able to survive and work better and more effectively. Perfect. Besides the fact that educated children work more effectively, we'll also teach them to be more careful with their protective clothing and tools. This, in turn, leads to them staying intact longer, and we conserve valuable resources. Now that our population is starting to grow, we ought to again turn our attention to the topic of food production. We are already accumulating fish and tilling our fields. A gatherer's cabin will now enable us to gather mushrooms and berries from the forest nearby.
Hayır, 4 kişi tam şeyinde tutuyor. Bu azalacak mı acaba?
Very good. As you can see, the gatherer's cabin is an effective possibility to get food quickly. But watch out. After a drought, it's going to take some time before the plants have regrown. As is the case with most buildings, here too, you can relocate the working area at any time. Although we are sufficiently supplied at the moment, our survival depends on diligent planning. If we can lay out a plan for an orchard, then we can start to plant fruit or nut trees that we can harvest after a few seasons. The orchard has been laid out, and the trees are already beginning to grow. Similar to crops for farming, trees need some time until they are fully grown. But once they have grown, they can be harvested again and again until they have to be newly planted. Our gatherer's cabin gathers food from the surrounding forests. However, there are any number of other plants there which we can use as well. These plants can be gathered by an herbal hut. The herbs gathered there can be consumed by settlers to replenish their health.
Bu save ederken komple kontrolü alıyor lan elinden.
done. We can equally utilize the gathered herbs to convert them into medicine later on. It might happen that an illness breaks out in our settlement from time to time and spreads among our settlers. That's why we always ought to have enough herbs on hand. Radiation is the main reason why the health status of our settlement can decrease. Although our settlers already use protective clothing to shield themselves against environmental radiation, it might occur that our sources of water become contaminated. We should start to filter our water to prevent this from happening. We will need a great deal of charcoal to accomplish this. The charcoal kiln will burn wood to...
Anladık. Vural hoş geldin. Ne haber, nasılsın?
Great. We can use the charcoal in conjunction with a filtration system to purify our water. Unfortunately, our cistern is not able to do this. Only the water tower has the necessary equipment for this capability.
Eyvallah, nasıl olsun? Bildiğin gibi. Şimdi bir tane de water
It would
tower
be a
yapıyor.
disgrace if we had to demolish our trusted cistern just to erect a water tower in its place. What we ought to do instead is upgrade the cistern itself. A water tower can store much more water and provides workplaces for a lot more water carriers than our old cistern.
Oğlum 50 oldu lan. Şey gelmedi. Yalçın hoş geldin. End Zone World Apart oyunun adı. Şimdi 7 yapayım da. Ha. Ama bunu da upgrade edebiliyorum. Refiner'ı 3 yap diyor. Recycle. Tamam. Ha, bir tane daha recycle yapıyor. Öyle. Very old adult. Ölüyorlar da.
Our new water tower is up and ready for action. Good work. Filtering the water is an important next step because clean drinking water is a key mainstay of any stable society. Let's begin with filtering our water. To save on charcoal, we ought to ensure that at least a little bit of water not contaminated by radiation is being stored in our water tower. Water gained from a well is never contaminated by radiation, so it suggests itself for that purpose. Then we can use the remaining charcoal to produce better protective clothing.
Well yap diyor bir tane. Böyle de böyle yapayım mı? Peki buraya da cos 2 dersek biyo yapıyor mu? Hayır, yapmıyor.
Good work. We are continuously taking steps towards being better and better equipped to be able to survive in this hostile environment. Filtered water is a precious asset, and later on we can even use it to irrigate our fields. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Not only our water can become a hazard for our settlers due to radiation, our food can too. We ought to erect a decontamination post to prevent settlers from eating meals that are contaminated with radiation. Very good. The decontamination post is going to supply all buildings that stockpile food and are located in its working area in order to purify the food that has been affected by radiation. It's true. We should never forget that even when we optimally prepare and protect ourselves, we're still going to lose friends and members of our family time and again. We're going to mourn them, come what may. But if we're able to bury them in a cemetery, then we'll get over the pain and let them rest in peace. Okay, the cemetery will help us to quickly get a hold on ourselves and focus on the tasks that lie ahead. It's not a pleasant thought, but that's the way things are. At the very we can erect a number of buildings to increase confidence in our settlement, including, for example, a campfire or a pub. In this situation, however, our best option would probably be to upgrade our town center. Settlers can visit the new town center, and by doing very good. The new town center not only gives us more storage space, at the same time, it functions just like a campfire too. Settlers can visit the new town center, and by doing so, increase their confidence for a while. Now that we have made efforts to ensure the spiritual well-being of our settlers, we ought to attend to their physical health as well. Our settlers can get sick from time to time.
Medical facility neymiş ya? Community'de mi olur? Evet. Pub yapamıyoruz daha. Power consumption diyor, elektrik istiyorum. Pub.
With this step, we have ensured the survival of the settlement for a while. Very good work, since more and more children are being... While cabins are a good way to get settlers to start a family, they only provide limited space. This can quickly lead to people having to live on the street. Allow me to suggest to you that cabins be provided only in a very targeted manner in order to control the population growth of your settlement. Nothing is worse than not having enough resources to provide for everyone.
Oo, unhappy settlers var.
Very good. Remember that when children grow up, they're going to leave their parents' house and look around for a new place to live. It might happen that they don't find any home at all. We ought to build a shelter to be able to provide all inhabitants with a roof over their heads. I've already pointed out to you that it could become very dangerous if we were to run out of food at some point. Since a lot of people are going to be living in the new shelter, we ought to provide them with access to food in their vicinity.
Nasıl?
Perfect. The hunting lodge equally provides us directly with food, but it functions somewhat irregularly because it relies on wildlife in the surrounding area. Nevertheless, it can be indispensable during a drought because even the deer and wild boar still roam around the forest. However, wild animals can not only be shot, they can be captured too. When a wild animal has been captured, it can be brought to a pasture and served there as livestock.
Bu neymiş lan? Dev gibi yerler. Bu ne binasıydı? Anlamış ki. Ha, bir de bu da tüketiyor ağacı, değil mi? Suyu halletmesek butimizde patlıyor. İyi, millet sokakta yaşıyormuş. Ha, hep capture'a getiriliyor bunu. Tamam, al sana capture.
Animals captured by a hunter are brought to a pasture where they are tended to and cared for by herders. Some animals produce resources such as milk or eggs. Other animals can only be slaughtered to eat. You ought to find out for yourself which type of animal brings you which benefit. On each, you must provide. Now your herders know how they ought to handle the animals. And now that you've already captured several animals, don't forget to instruct your hunters to hunt animals again in the future so that they can continue to gather and provide food. With our increased production, our stockpile is going to run out soon. The supply routes for our production buildings are getting longer and longer too. To tackle these problems, you ought to build a temporary storeroom and have roads laid out.
Bu kara. Kaça kadar ayaktasın?
Good. Temporary storerooms increase your settlement's general storage capacity. Place them in a targeted manner in order to shorten the routes for goods between your production buildings. Roads are equally a great benefit because settlers moving on roads can go distinctly faster than on a normal supporting surface. To improve the whole thing even further, we can build a
Onosunun ki bu ne böyle ya? Dev gibi, dev gibi. Ben rütbeli giremiyorum biliyorsun. Adamlar normal oyunda ghost atıyor. Rütbeli de yok ederler beni. Benim storage kapasitemi yükseltmem lazım. Bok gibi değil mi uzun yer? Bu arada şey yapacağım. 10 dakika sonra 1,5 saat olacak. 1,5 saat sonra şeyi kapatacağım. Yayını kapatacağım. Tekrar açacağım. CB gireriz o zaman. Hani anlatmıştım ya sana bir kere oyun veriyorlar da şey yapman lazım falan diye. Bu da oradan geldi. Daha doğrusu oradan aldım, gelmedi. Abi yok, son haliyle şeyi kaldırmışlar ya. Eskiden şeylerde, ürünlerde birimlere %15 fazla hasar ver vardı. O birimlere %15 fazla hasar ver birilerine batmış abi. Menzilli birimlere %15 hasar, fazladan hasar ver yapmışlar onu. Yani bir de şey yok. Mesela uzun yaya şöyle bir skill ekleyebilirsin. İşte 4 saniyede bir, işte sallıyorum, vurdukça her vurduğunda 4 saniyede bir böyle bir rune koyarsın, artı %10 vurur, tamam mı? Yani attığın her ok %10 daha güçlü gider. Ya uyduruyorum şu anda ama yani genelde LB'nin hasar çarpanının yükseltilmesi gerekiyor. Tabii canım. Hayır hayır. O menzilli birimlere diye değişti, gösteririm oyuna gelince.
Logisticians are able to amass resources from the whole settlement and bring them to the market. This improves the flow of your products and leads to your settlers having to walk shorter distances to fulfill their individual needs. The combination of these attributes makes the market the ideal building when you want to enlarge or even relocate your settlement. The larger your settlement gets, the farther some settlers have to travel to get to all of the food you produce. To make life a little easier for them, you can build a food station. Logisticians who work at the food station will collect food from your storage buildings and production facilities and bring it to the food station.
Haber Çınar. Yalnız şakayla karışıp 15'i 73 yaptık. Kaç ölümümüz var? 11 kişi ölmüş bu zamana kadar. Gireceğim Çınar 10 dakika sonra. Medicine de full limitinde. Bayağı. Yok kardeşim. Öyle kötü alışkanlıklarım yok benim. Neydi? Temporary sordum. Ne diyor bu? Ha, o zaman ağzım. Neredeydi o ya? Lojistik mi lan bu? Tamam Çınar. Dikkat et kendine, üstünü başını yıkma. Oğlum çok mutlu lan insanlar. Bu maymun gibi yürüyorlar.
With the new food station, your settlers are now able to supply themselves with food directly
Wonder.
on site. If your settlement is supposed to grow even further, you can think about whether you want to provide additional food stations.
Ha. Başka food station var mı? Bu da mı food station? Tamam. Şimdi oldu. Ne diyor? Yok yandakiler temizlerim. Sen rahat ol.
Distributing food at your settlement is going to prove to be extremely practical. However, your settlers not only need food to survive, they need water too. To be able to distribute water in a targeted manner, you can build a water point. Now that your settlers also have a water point available, they can supply themselves with water and food. Similar to how it's done at the food stations, this enables... Since we have our logistics under control, now we can concern ourselves with the weather and its challenges. We can build a weather station to enable us to make a forecast regarding upcoming weather and learn if potentially contaminated rain might be coming our way.
Have weather station. Binaların büyüklüğüne bak.
Very good. Now that we know what sort of weather awaits us and how we can protect ourselves against contaminated rain by covering our crops and rainwater collectors, we ought to attend to collecting the rain we want. Rain not only humidifies the soil, it can also be automatically collected via rainwater collectors to generate a steady flow of additional water. Since we've already built our weather station, we are able to decide what kind of circumstances would make us want to cover our rain collectors.
Niye kimse buna bir şey getirmiyor ya? Bu ağaç birden kendine geldi. İki mezarcı yapalım.
Never forget that our settlers might get sick if we distribute water contaminated with radiation at our settlement, even if they're wearing protective clothing. We should make sure that the collected water is as purified as possible. We can have our crops covered to shield our seedlings against radiation. But once they've been covered, naturally they won't be irrigated with rain anymore. To rectify this problem, we can build an irrigation plant that is able to artificially regulate soil humidification. Place this building with care, because it is only going to irrigate the soil within its impact radius. Fabulous. As long as our irrigation plant is supplied with filtered water. Along You can decide which type of task your builders ought to give priority to at our town center. You can instruct them to merely repair buildings, to erect new buildings, or to do both at the same time. This enables you to react quickly in crisis situations. For instance, in the event of a sandstorm, you can quickly attend to having damaged buildings repaired.
Neyse, bunu tamamlayayım, kaydedeyim.